Good morning to our honored guests, Dr. Donnell Dickey, our school board members, Mrs. Carletta Israel, Dr. Gamble, our superintendent, Dr. Wims, educators, parents, scholars, and community members of Williamsburg County School District. Good morning again and welcome to our Literacy Day celebration.
Good morning.
Thank you. So Frederick Douglass once said, "Once you learn to read, you will be forever free." This quote speaks to the power of literacy in communities like ours, where education opens doors to unlimited opportunities. Reading empowers us with knowledge, independence, and the ability to shape our own futures. By creating an environment that encourages and supports the development of reading, writing, and comprehension skills, we give every scholar the freedom to learn, grow, and succeed in their chosen pathway. As a school district and community, let's continue to champion for the love of reading. It is our hope that you will leave here today empowered and committed to advancing the work of literacy in our schools and communities. Thank you again for being here. Please remember to visit our vendors and let's make today a great day. Again, welcome. At this time, we'll have board member Carletta Israel to share our purpose, followed by our introduction from our superintendent, Dr. Calvin Wims. Mrs. Israel, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Carletta Scott Israel. I am the program director for Head Start, Early Head Start for Waccamaw EOC, as well as a member of Williamsburg County School District Board of Trustees. It brings me great privilege to talk about the purpose of our Literacy Day today, because literacy is so important in the development of our young children, because I'm coming from that perspective. But it establishes the foundation. So when you think about AI's overall definition for literacy, literacy is simply the ability to read, to write, to speak, and to listen effectively, to communicate and understand, enabling individuals, our scholars, our children, to participate fully in society. And so how does that look in the educational setting? And how does that look in the early childhood setting? It's a rich literacy environment where you see books and printed material, you see labels on items in the classroom. You see read-alouds. We have story time, reading books to our children, children responding to what's in the text. We have storytelling and narratives. Oh, our kids can tell some stories, the stories that they hear in their environments. That's a part of literacy. Phonemic awareness, rhyming games, stories, chants, and singing, that's all a part of literacy. Writing opportunities, putting what they're saying in a print form that they can share stories. They can make up stories, they can write their books. All that's a part of literacy. Community partnerships. We need our community. Partnering with our local libraries, partnering with our nonprofits, partnering with organizations in the community that supports reading. All of that is a part of literacy. So that's why we're here today, to tell you about the importance of literacy and how it established a foundation for early learning, reading skills, writing skills. It all starts with literacy. So we hope you all are ready for a fantastic day of learning how you can take this knowledge back, implement it in your communities, in your organization, in your churches, because we're here for a literacy celebration. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today is a very special day for this community. I'd like to thank Ms. Fred, Ms. Smith, and everybody involved with the work behind our Literacy Day. This is much needed, but it's also a very special day to have a distinguished gentleman like Dr. Dickey in our community. As we were talking a couple of minutes ago, reminiscing about 3 years ago, sitting down as me and Michael White were scratching our heads about our academic numbers, and he mentioned that he knew this phenomenal educator named Danielle Dickey, and I said, let's get him down here, let's talk to him, and let's see if he can help us. And Lord knows that was an understatement, because he's been running with us, with me. He's family. He's not a guest. With our team every day, and every place I go, be it the State Department, be it conferences, be it talking to my colleagues, they want to talk about our data, and I tell them it starts with the academic vision and work and mission of Daniel Dickey, because he is a committed soldier. And he's committed, it's a negative and a positive, because if you're not committed, he will tell you you're in the wrong place. But if you are committed and you follow his strategies with fidelity, I can tell you undeniably that they work, that your students will grow, that your community will grow. Adam Clayton Powell said it best: communities like ours often suffer from an absence of our own. And I think that's a powerful statement, and I think Dr. Dickey models in his daily walk a powerful message. He knows this, he understands it, and he knows how to apply it. So I'm proud that we are members of the best fraternity in the United States, but he's also my mentor, and just a solid academic scholar. So today, it gives me great pleasure to have Dr. Dickey back here, and as you look at our growth, a huge thank you to him for his part and role in that growth. So Dr. Dickey, welcome home.
Thank you, sir.
And you'll always have a place in Williamsburg and wherever I go. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Thanks for having me. Dr. Williams, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your school improvement journey. Parents, community members, educators, board members, thank you for being present as well. Dr. Smith, you want me to answer these questions? You just want me to talk? Present. Okay, got it. All right. So, y'all, I'm going to talk from that screen over there. If you're in this room and you are a parent, would you raise your hand for me, please? You're a parent. Okay, thank you so much. Did you guys know that in the U.S., 65% of all children have yet to reach reading proficiency? If we do the math, y'all, that's only 35% have reached reading proficiency. And also in America, a child that is of minority descent, they read at a rate of 25% proficient. So 75% of all children in the U.S. who are of minority descent have yet to reach reading proficiency. Ma'am, in the gray, that number's too big for me. And if a child has an IEP or individualized education program, parents, only 5% of those children can read at the grade level expectation. And those numbers tell me, Dr. Williams, that we don't have a child issue, we have an adult issue. Because our children are not incapable, they're untaught. They're not unable, they're unexposed. Are y'all with me? But we can fix this number. Dr. Williams shared with me some numbers, how students have been performing since we've been in partnership, and your trajectory is now a straight line, from 7 to 40 to nearly 80% proficient in just a number of about 2 years. And so I'm going to show you how to make sure that your child at home is at the top of that performance rung. Okay, so give me a few minutes and you all keep me good on time so I don't go over. But there are a few things that kids have to be exposed to no matter the grade. So I see a father in the back with his son, and he looks older than third grade to me. Yes? In the very back. Yes, sir. So what a third grader needs, a ninth grader needs. There's no difference. In fact, the ninth grader needs it because they didn't get it at a heavy enough concentration when they were in third grade. And so if we're concerned about literacy, it is a pre-K through 12th grade imperative. And so there are two things that you want your child to be exposed to in great doses until they don't need it anymore. Number one is foundational skills. And number two is called knowledge-based competencies. So let me walk you through foundational skills and knowledge-based competencies, and I want you to keep score. So everybody has an agenda today. Find a place for you to write on your agenda, and I'm going to walk you through these. All right? Let's talk about foundational skills first. And by the way, I'm going to have you score each of the elements that make up foundational skills and knowledge-based competencies with a 0, a 1, a 2, or a 3. Y'all tell me, what does it say under 0? Below. That you're concerned about your child's ability in this area and you feel like their skill set is well below the expectation, you're going to mark a 0 when I get to that element. Okay? The 1 says that your child, grandchild, niece, nephew is approaching proficiency in that area that makes up foundational skills or knowledge-based competencies. And the 2 will be they're doing okay in that area, you think, but they could do better. And then the 3 says they're walking on water. You know, Jesus is telling them, come on the water, and they're walking on it. Okay? All right, I'm in the Carolinas, I can say Jesus, right? Okay. All right, let's do it. So what are foundational skills? Foundational skills, they're not reading. Fred, they're not reading. Foundational skills are what children need in order to be able to read at the grade level expectation. In what grade? Every grade. Dr. Williams, I was in Arkansas, and I was reading with an 11th grader. And the 11th grader knew me because I'd been working in their district for 3 years, and I helped them to get similar gains to your district. And he said, Doc Dickey, I'm going to read for you, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't read well. 11th grader, star of the basketball team. So they used him on the basketball team, but they have not taught him how to read. So we start reading, and what I noticed right away is he didn't have foundational skills. He didn't know what to call it. But because he didn't get it at a high enough concentration in pre-K to 10, he's sitting in the 11th grade reading at a 4th grade level. Okay, so what are foundational skills? Foundational skills are the following. Print concepts, I'm going to talk about what that is. Phonemic awareness, I'm going to talk about what that is. And y'all, I hope y'all can see this. I'm presenting without seeing that screen because I can't see it, but I know what's on it because I hear the words in my heart. Okay, all right, here we go. Y'all didn't go to Sunday school. Y'all supposed to know what I mean when I said it. All right, okay. Phonological awareness, I'm going to talk about what that means in a minute. Phonics, I believe that says over there. Encoding, which is the opposite of phonics, and fluency. So these are the elements that I'm going to want you to score a 0 out of 3 for as we chat today. Are y'all with me? And a kindergartner needs it and a 12th grader needs it until they don't. Okay, let's go to print concepts. So print concepts is about a child being able to pick up a book and tell you something about what's on the cover. And for the littles over there, it's about them holding the book the right way up instead of upside down. Right? And starting with the cover of the book and not the back of the book. And telling you about the author and telling you about the illustrator. And then they go to the title page and they're supposed to see if there's something different there on the title page versus the cover of the book. And then perhaps they're supposed to be able to glean some information from the back of the book. That's a pre-K through 2nd grade imperative. A pre-K through 2nd grade kid is supposed to be able to pick up a book, hold it the right way, and make predictions about what they see before they open it. Yes? Now, something graduates, y'all, I didn't tell y'all this. My presentation style, I start out Methodist, but I end up Pentecostal. So I benefit from you talking back to me, all right? All right, okay. Now, when kids get past, oh, and by the way, if you have a pre-K to 2 kid in the room, I want you to think, can your kid do this? 0, 1, 2, or 3? 0, you're worried, very worried. One, they're approaching the ability to do it. Two, they got it, but it's a little shaky. You want more. And three, they're walking on water. Okay, now, print concepts change when kids get past second grade, which means print concepts are not about holding the book anymore. So the young man in the black jacket in the back and the three fellas in the back, print concepts for you is not about you picking up the book and holding it the right way. There's an assumption you can already do that. But you are supposed to be able to look at a book and identify, does it say graphic aids over there, y'all? You're supposed to be able to identify a graphic aid, which is what? An image in the book that helps you to get information about what the writer is trying to tell you as the author of the book. But sometimes our kids past second grade, they skip the images in the book, but then they get a question on the assessment that assumes that they've analyzed the images in the book to match the words. There's another type of print concept that children need to understand past second grade, and it is informational aids. Y'all see informational aids on the screen? An informational aid is an aid in the text or something that the author put in the text on purpose to help the reader get more information about the topic of the text, like a caption. But sometimes when kids read past second grade, they ignore the little writing in italices underneath the picture. And then they miss out on some information that the author's trying to present to them as a reader of the text. And these are examples of other informational aids. Now, organizational aids are about how the text is organized, like a table of contents. Sometimes kids skip it and then they open the book and they can't find anything, but the table of contents was there all along. My mom used to say, boy, go in the room and go find me my so-and-so, and I couldn't find it. And she said, if I go in that room and I find it, you're in big trouble. What am I trying to say? It's right in front of them and they skip right past it. But the writers of the assessments that are judging their ability as young people, they assume they know how to zoom in and find what they're supposed to find in the text. Y'all with me? And then finally, print features. Print features are what the author does intentionally with the text. They make the letters bigger. They make the letters colored. They make the letters bold. They underline the words. And the author does that on purpose to draw the reader's attention. Now, if you are in this room and you have a child at home that's grade 3 to 12, is this a 0 in your mind? Is this a 1 in your mind? Is this a 2 in your mind? Is this a 3 in your mind? Are y'all with me? All right, so I need a number from everybody in the room. I need a 0, a 1, a 2, or a 3. Is that right? So I need a number from you because at the end of my presentation, I'm going to have you add those numbers up and we're going to do something with those numbers. So everybody by now, you should have one number. Okay? Okay, let's keep going. Number 2. That should say phonemic awareness. Okay, now what's phonemic awareness? Students should have the ability to, now this is K-12, pre-K-12. Students should have the ability to, ladies and gentlemen, to hear, to identify, and to manipulate individual sounds and words. I'm going to repeat it. To hear, to identify, and to manipulate individual sounds and words. And if they can't, when they get past second grade, they're going to struggle. They're going to hate to read. When their teacher says, we're going to read paragraph number 1, they're going to suck their teeth, they're going to roll their eyes, they're going to want to go to the nurse, they're going to want to go to the restroom. Because they're trying to avoid it. Okay, so let's hear, identify, and manipulate individual sounds and words, okay? Let's do this. Y'all, that word is cat. Y'all with me? Now, I know you see a K up there, but that's not a letter, that's a sound. Okay? So they're supposed to be able to hear, identify, and manipulate individual sounds and words. And by the way, there's only 44 sounds in the English language, which means why are children in America unable to read on grade level and there's only 44 sounds in the English language? Y'all with me? That's not a child issue, that's an adult issue. Okay. Hear, identify, and manipulate individual sounds and words. Okay, let's hear. How many sounds do you hear in cat? 3. So you heard them? Cat. Okay, now let's identify those 3 sounds. What's the first one? Good. But don't say cuh because you're going to sound regional. I mean country. You're going to sound country. Y'all ain't know what I meant by regional, so I had to say country. You're going to sound country. Because cat is not at. right? You got to cut it. All right. So you heard the first sound is k. Okay. Now we identified the first sound. Now let's identify the second sound. Ah. Now let's identify the final sound. Good. So you heard and you just identified. Now let's manipulate. Look on the screen. You should see a new word up there. Okay. Now give me the new word because we manipulated. Bat. Now look again. Sat. So you can hear, you can identify, and you can manipulate. You're almost literate. Y'all with me? Okay, now mark a score. Can your child do that? Are y'all with me? Are you concerned? 0, 1, no, not satisfied. 2, almost there. 3, they got it. All right? All right, let's keep going. Phonological awareness. Y'all, what's phonological awareness? Y'all look on the screen. Your child must be able to, this one's more difficult. And if you don't deal with this one, they'll pay for it later. They must be able to hear, identify, and manipulate units of oral language. Y'all, the first one was individual sounds. This one is units of oral language. What are units of oral language? It should say word parts and words and syllables. Okay, that's what it should say on the screen, if I could see it. Okay, now watch this. Let's do it. Let's hear, identify, and manipulate units of oral language. Y'all, how many syllables in happy? What's the first one? You heard them. Now let's identify them. What's the first one? Second one? Yeah, and your child should be able to do this. Happy. And clap it out. 2 syllables. So we heard and we identified. Now let's manipulate. Y'all, what's that word? Now, how many syllables in unhappy? Clap them out. Unhappy. That's manipulating. That's phonological awareness manipulation. Okay? Now, here's another one. Y'all, what's that word? How many syllables in it? You hear 4, don't you? Now, let's identify them. What's the first one? E. There it is. That's phonological awareness. Can your child do that? Are you satisfied with the extent to which your child can do that? Mark it a 0, a 1, a 2, or a 3. Y'all, I'm showing you literacy. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And if you want children to go from illiterate to literate, here's your straight line. It's going to get more complicated in a second. This is just the foundation. That's why we call these foundational skills. But when you build a building, you don't start with the roof. You start with the foundation. Y'all, I'm preaching. Somebody say amen. Amen. All right. Now let's go to phonics. Phonics is the fourth element, this should be number 4, yes? The fourth element of helping kids become better readers. Now what's phonics? Letters make sounds. And when those letters hit the page, they make the same sound every time. It's the relationship, ladies and gentlemen, between the smallest unit of writing and the smallest unit of sound. And there are children in our country who see letters on the page, y'all, and they don't know what sounds to make. And if you don't resolve it, they won't be able to spell either. You know, children write like they text. And it goes back to phonics. Okay, watch this. Now look at this formula. Decoding plus creating meaning is reading. If you want your child to be a successful reader, the home and the school have to respect and support what this formula represents. Okay, let's deal with decoding. Decoding is, I'm going to repeat it, you see letters on the page and you know what sounds to make. But making sounds is not reading. You ever stood over a kid, you had them read something, and then you subsequently asked them questions about what they read, and they could not answer your questions because they never read it. All they did was what? Decode it, which means what? Break the code between the letters on the page and the sounds that they need to make, but that's just step 1 in reading. What's creating meaning? I understand every word that I pronounced. At the same rate that I pronounce, I understand. That's reading. Okay. And in order to be able to read at the grade level, children must know all of these. In the English language, there are 18 single consonant sounds. I'm not going to bore you with too many details, but I am going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you, okay? And in the English language, there are 7 digraphs. Like shh, shh is a digraph. Because in mushroom, you don't say saha, mahasaharum. You say mushroom. And mushroom is a consonant digraph. Y'all, this knowledge is finite, which means what? It could be learned and mastered. This knowledge is not infinity. It's not infinite, excuse me. It can be quantified, therefore it can be learned. There are 5 short vowels in the English language. There are 5 long vowels in the English language. There are 2 consonant sounds that people call other because no one knows what to call them. That's funny in other states. All right. And then there are some vowel diphthongs and 5 vowel sounds controlled by the letter R. But I'm not going to bore you there. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. Watch this. Y'all make that sound. Because this is one of the 44 sounds in the English language. But guess what? There's 144 ways to write those 44 sounds. So I'm telling you, this sound can be written more than one way. And when kids see it in writing and they have to decode it, which means pronounce it, they have to know this is not just written with a C. How else could you write this sound besides a C? A K. How else could you write that sound? A CK, as in duck. And they have to know when they see CK on the paper, decode it by saying what? Because if their brain is struggling with, their brain is not struggling with potential and kinetic energy if they're reading about it in the text. Y'all with me? It could also show up in the text in the CH, as in school. And could also show up in the text as CC, as in occur. I sound like Cardi B. Yeah, occur. And then it could also show up in the text as a QUE, as in antique. But children will say anti-QUE, and they're going to miss that the author is talking about something old. That's why this is foundational. If you want kids to understand what they've read, they've got to first decode what they've read. And what's decoding? Pronouncing. And sometimes kids leave 3rd grade and they only know C and K, and the other 4 they don't know. And then people blame the zip code, but it wasn't the zip code. It was the quality of the instruction inside of the zip code. Amen. Y'all with me? All right. Thank you for the amen. Keep me good on time, Smith. Okay. Y'all, here's another sound, and I'll move on. Y'all, what's this sound? Good. How does it show up in the text? F. How else could it show up? Double F. 2 more. PH. How else could it show up? GH. And when a child reads out loud and they stumble to pronounce words, this is why. Because they don't know GH in tough is just like f and foot. Why? Because they're unable? No, because they weren't told. Are y'all with me? I'm never going to blame the victim. All right, I'll move on. Y'all bored, I'm going to move on. Okay. So the other thing that I want to show you here about making sure that kids are becoming literate is spelling. And another word for spelling is encoding. Phonics, decoding, spelling, encoding. Phonics that we just talked about, I see the letters already written and I know what sounds to make. But encoding is I hear something and I know what letters to write. It's the opposite. Y'all with me? Phonics is already written and I know how to say it. But spelling, encoding is I heard it, either whether I heard it in my head or my teacher said spell something, I can write the code on the paper. And if kids don't know phonics, they won't spell. And people say, well, you know, for many years, Dr. Williams, you know, spelling doesn't really matter. Yes, it does. Okay? And then there's a set of words that kids have to know how to spell right away. If they are in grades pre-K3, they're called Dolch words. Dolch. And there's 315 of them in the English language. 315 words that those little kids at that table over there need to know how to spell with automaticity. And if they don't know how to spell them with automaticity, they're going to read in a choppy fashion. And if they're reading in a choppy fashion, you can't expect them to answer questions about what they just read. Okay, y'all look at the math on the screen. It says 315 of them. Pre-K, K, 1, 2, 3. There's 5 grades between pre-K and 3. So divide 5 into 315, and what do you get? You get 63. What am I trying to say? There's 63 of those words they need to learn in pre-K and K and 1 and 2 and 3. And hold on to the ones from the previous years. So your child's getting ready to enter the 3rd grade. Somebody's got to check to make sure they held on to the 2s, the 1s, the Ks, and the pre-Ks. Who checked? Are y'all with me? Who checked? Because you cannot, Dr. Williams, y'all doing a good job, but home and school is supposed to be like a hand in a glove. We're both supposed to check. Who checked? All right. There's another set of words that kids, oh, and by the way, these sight words, they should follow the protocol. So your child at home should be in a protocol with these on a regular basis with you or with another child. Because children can do this protocol with each other. And I'm going to make y'all 3rd graders. Y'all going to do the protocol with me real quick. Say it, spell it, say it, use it. This is all kids need with you to do at home on a regular basis, and they're going to read better. Say it, spell it, say it, use it. Okay, y'all, say it. Spell it. Say it. Turn to someone and use it. Yeah, I don't know what y'all said, but inappropriate. That's all we need to do for kids, and they're going to be better readers. Okay, now, there's another set of words for the kids who are bigger. There's another set of words for the kids past 3rd grade. They're called fry. And there's 1,000 of them. And some people say, well, you know, I don't like Doge, I don't like fry. No, stop. You're proving something that you don't know what you're talking about. Doge is inside of fry. So all Fry did was add 685 to the 315. Now, these are words that all kids must know on sight and how to spell if they're past 3rd grade. And here they are. I put them in a kit. And kids need to practice these words in the same protocol as the little kids. So I was in Georgia, and some bigger kids were in a protocol with each other. Because you might say, well, my kids past 3rd grade, this feels inappropriate. Right? But it's still appropriate if they can't spell. Are y'all with me? Okay, so I was in Georgia, and I was with some big kids. A girl was with a boy, and the girl was in charge, and the boy knew it. And she said, she held up this card, and she said, say it. And he said, with fear and trembling, oxygen. She put the card down, and she said, spell it. And he said, Oxygen. She picked the card back up, and she said, say it. And he said, oxygen. And she said, now use it. And he said to her, you make the oxygen leave the room. But what's my point? He did a little jokey joke, but he's going to remember how to spell that word. So here's my question to you. How satisfied are you with these? How satisfied are you with these? The last one is fluency, which means that a kid can read without fits and starts. They're not stumbling. But you can't be fluent as a reader if you can't do what's above fluency. Are y'all with me? So I need a score out of 18. Give me a score out of 18. Because there's how many of those are up there? That's 6 times 3. So your score, I need a score for each of those. Give me something. 0 out of 3, you got a score total out of 18. I need your number. 16. I hear you say what? 16. 16. That's a high number. I'll take it. That's a high number. Y'all give me your number, please. Add it up for me and call out your number. 12. Give me another number. 12. And you said 18? Okay, those are high. I'll take high, but I want to be realistic because this is a self-score. So, you know, when I look in the mirror, y'all, I'm not going to lie to myself because then I can't help myself. So I'll take your 16, but are you sure? Okay, y'all, give me some more numbers out of 18. Give me some more numbers out of 18. Parents in the room, I need your number. Yep. 11. Okay, now, do me a favor. Take that number and divide it by 18. Take that number you just calculated and divide it by 18. Everybody pull your phone out and divide it by 18. So if you got a 12, divide it by 18. If you got an 11, divide it by 18. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. You should have a decimal. Everybody have their decimal? Now multiply it by 100. So you had a number out of 18, you divided it by 18. So you said 11 divided by 18, and then you multiplied that number by 100. What's your number? What's your number? Y'all give me the numbers. 0.61. You are 60% sure that your child has foundational skills. That's what that number is going to tell you. Which means if they were to take a test today, they will score in the 60th percentile, which means they would be right in the middle of the road, and you want them in the 90th percentile. Are y'all with me? And there's a correlation between that number you have right now and your child's academic success and their educational attainment for the future. Are y'all with me? I grew up in the housing projects, y'all. My mother was a drug addict, and my father I never met. And I slept on the floor of my grandmother's living room because that's the only place I could go. And through the floor of her shotgun home, I could see the ground underneath the house. But my score was in the 90th percentile, and now I'm Dr. Dickey. And this on the screen, your children, they're going to suffer without it unnecessarily. And they're going to have a life that's characterized by somebody else choosing for them rather than them choosing for themselves. Okay, I'm moving on. Let's do the last part. Now, I need a score out of 12 this time. And this one's going to go pretty fast. I need a score out of 12. Okay? The next half of what it takes to get a child to read is called knowledge-based competencies. The first half we talked about this morning was called foundational skills. Now this is called knowledge-based competencies. And children need these as much as they need foundational skills. And you can't wait to do knowledge-based competencies. You got to develop that while you're developing foundational skills. Okay, here we go. Here are the four elements that make up knowledge-based competencies. Number one should be vocabulary. So I want to score out of 3, 0 to 3, for vocabulary when I'm done talking about vocabulary. Background knowledge, oral language skills, and comprehension. Let's do it. Okay, let's start with vocabulary. The average student who reads below grade level has 2,500 words in their head, but they need 25,000. And how do you multiply a child's vocabulary? It's not by copying a word down from the back of a book or using it in a sentence. It doesn't work. So then how do you build their vocabulary? So that when they walk into rooms, they can code switch so they can get the job. I got excited. Yeah. They must know the most commonly occurring word parts. I'm going to talk about each one of these. They must understand context clues. They must understand the universal language of literacy. And then finally, they must understand content-specific academic language. I'm going to talk about each one of these, and you're going to give me a score for all four of them as a whole, 0 to 3. Okay, let's do it. In the English language, remember me saying if you want kids to read on grade level, that green, the yellow, and the red in the middle, they must be able to look at a word and see the parts of a word. And in order to be able to do that, they have to understand the most commonly occurring prefixes in the English language. There's only 30 of them, and they come from the Latin and the Greek. And they live in Spanish and French and German. They're called cognates. And if kids don't know these 30 pieces of words, they'll look at words and not know what they mean. They don't know these 30 roots, and a root is sometimes it's in the beginning of the word, but most of the time it's in the middle of a word. If they don't know these 30, they're going to look at a piece of text and it's going to look jumbled up to them. English is going to look like German. And these word parts at the end of a word called suffixes, if kids don't know these, they're in big trouble. But look, y'all, there's only 90 of them, which means what? They can learn them. They know every song that comes on the radio. They know every word of every song that comes on. So they can learn these 90 word parts. So let me give you one. I'm going to do the root word pathy, P-A-T-H-Y. Watch my vocabulary blow up right in front of you. Okay, y'all, P-A-T-H-Y on that yellow chart, it means feeling. Watch this. Apathy. That A in front of it is on the green chart, and it means not. So what's apathy? No feelings. Remember, they got 2,500 words, but they ain't 25,000. So how do you multiply it? It's word parts, okay? Sympathy, S-Y-M, it's on the green chart. And what does S-Y-M mean in front of a word? It means with. So what's sympathy? Feelings with someone. Okay, empathy, E-M, it's on the green card. What does E-M mean in front of a word? It means out. So what's empathy? Feelings as if you came out of someone else's shoes. Sympathy is different. Sympathy is I didn't go through it, I'm with you. But empathy is I came out of it, I can show you how to come out of it. Y'all with me? Antipathy, it's on the green. A-N-T-I in front of a word means against. So what's antipathy? Feelings against. One more. Telepathy, T-E-L-E, is on the green one. Put it with P-A-T-H-Y. T-E-L-E means far away. So what's telepathy? To send feelings from far away. That's how you multiply a child's vocabulary. If they don't know these word parts, they're in big trouble. When should they know them? As early as pre-K. I know 3-year-olds who know these. I walk into their classroom and they say to me, Dr. Dickey, we know your word parts, submarine, S-U-B, below. Y'all with me? If they have access, they can do it. Nothing will be impossible to them. So there is no excuse for a child as tall as you are who does not know those. But they want a new cell phone. Are y'all with me? Or they want a brand new tennis shoe, or what they call them, sneaker. I don't know. Are y'all with me? You get these word parts, you can have that Gucci sneaker. Okay, all right. Why is this important? Kids read on 2 levels, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about vocabulary. Kids read on 2 levels. That text for some kids could be above their head. That group of kids over there, they might see words in that text and stumble over some of them. So what should the adults do in their ecosystem? What I mean by ecosystem, home and school and church. Should say to kids, I'm not bringing the text down to your ability. I'm going to bring you up to the text. How? By giving kids a highlighter. And I'll bet you there's some words there they don't know how to say. Tell them how to say it. I'll bet you there's some words there they don't know what they mean. I'll bet you those word parts are in those words they don't know what they mean. And then let them highlight, tell you the words they don't know how to say, the words they don't know what they mean, and then talk about those words, and then you will have brought them up to the text. For how many days? All the days of their lives. It ain't complicated, but I think America has made it complicated. I don't know why America made it complicated for some kids to learn how to read. Okay, let's keep going. There are 4 types of context clues that kids need to know. Number 1, y'all know what a context clue is as a parent. There's an unfamiliar word in the text, and there's some words in the text that can help the kid understand what the word means. So the first type that kids need to know is definitional, which means what, parents? Which means what? That there's a definition for the unfamiliar word in the text. Some context clues are synonym. There's a word that means the same thing as an unfamiliar word in the text. Some context clues are antonym. There's a word that means the opposite of that unfamiliar word right there in the text. That's a hint to the kids of what the unfamiliar word means. Kids on the end of grade and end of course assessment in a few weeks, they're going to get 8 questions on this. And most kids in the country fail that test by 6 questions. And the last type of context clue that kids need to understand is called inferential, which means there are hints in the text, but the answer is not there. Okay? Now, another set of terms that kids need to know is called the universal language of literacy. So we talked about word parts. Now we're talking about the universal language of literacy. Ladies and gentlemen, if kids don't know these 36 words, they'll test like they were never taught. Why? Because these words live in math, They live in science. They live in social studies. They live in English. They live in CTE. They live in art. They live in phys ed. They live in every content area assessment. Which means what? Kids must have one definition of these words in their head. From as early as when? Kindergarten. Analyze is a kindergarten word. Williamsburg, analyze is a kindergarten word. Y'all see that K at the top? But what have kindergartners been told that word means? They should have been told it means to pull something apart. We say, Doc, that definition is too big. Well, give them the part of the definition they can handle to break into smaller parts. Can they not look at a picture of SpongeBob and break it apart? Then they can analyze. So why would we keep that word from kids? But there's some adults in this country who will say that's not a kindergarten word. If it's in the kindergarten standards, it's a kindergarten word. What are key details? So I was with a group of kids in Michigan, and I met this child named Bella. And I was teaching their class, and I was teaching them, Dr. Wims, to identify key details so that we could determine the topic of the text. And so I spent my time saying, but if that door over there were locked, what would I need to get inside of it? And they say, you need a key? The second grade, So they scream everything. You need a key? And so I said, yeah, I need a key because the key unlocks the door. And I said, but what do key details do? They have a job just like the key. And one of the kids said, I think they unlock the key details. Yep, that's right. I'm sorry, I think they unlock the main topic. I said, yeah, that's right. Key unlocks the door. Key details unlock the topic. They help you to figure out the topic of the text. So somewhere throughout the lesson, I called on Bella and I said, Bella, what are key details? Later on in the lesson, I asked her what key details are. And she stood up and she said, they're words that unlock the topic. But in the back of the room, when I was asking her the question, all the adults were doing like this. Don't call Bella. But I didn't see it. I missed it. So I called Bella anyway, and Bella stood up and she answered my question. So I found out later, after I finished teaching the lesson, we went to the room to talk about the lesson with the teachers and superintendent. All the cameras were there and everything. And they were looking at me like they swallowed a canary. So I said, y'all, what's wrong? They said, you don't understand what happened. I said, tell me what happened. They said, Bella, the child that you called on, she's a mute. I said, what? Excuse me? They said, she's a mute. They said, not only is she a mute, she's been a mute all year long. She has not spoken to anybody in this building all year long. You know why Bella spoke to me? Because I took my time to deal with her understanding of the term, and a child who is not confident enough to speak spoke. Yes. Mac, when we take our time with kids, because I think in America we're in a hurry. We're in a hurry to hurry up and teach so we can hurry up and test, so we can just hurry up and find out kids needed more time with us teaching. Thank you, brother, for the one clap. He felt that in his spirit. So our children have capacity. Y'all with me? Even a child who's grappling with a disability, like a speech disability, when they are served well, they will meet your expectation. So they shouldn't have been shocked that Bella could speak. She got served well. Okay, I'm moving on. If it's true for key details, children need one definition of summarizing as well. But if I gave everybody in this room a Post-it note and I asked you to tell me what a summary is, everybody would give me a different definition, and children pay for that. The test writers have one definition of summary, but the adults have 10. And the children get to the test and they look like they can't when they're actually confused. And if it's true for that term, it's true for this term. And so how can a house, stand if it's divided? How can two walk together unless they agree? And so we got to get agreement at home and at school about what these words mean. And when we do, our children will prosper. I'm telling you what I know, y'all. I'm in a different city every day. I wish I could go home. I ain't been home in 8 days. But I'm in a different city every day. And when people like Dr. Williams, they call me and they say, we need your help, I get on the plane and I come. You're welcome. Because I want to shut down this idea that certain children from certain communities can't. Yes, they can. How do I know? I was one of them. So you can't tell me what we can't do. Okay? And these are content-specific words. I was in your classrooms yesterday with Chief Smith, and we were weaving in and out of classrooms. And here's what we saw. Kids understood academic language. I could lean over to any kid and say, what is that thing right there? And the kid could say, oh, that's an exponent. And it tells you that you're supposed to multiply the base number by itself that many times. Every classroom I walked in and out of. Now, when I met you, it was a little different, Doc. But today, when I walked, the first time I wanted to hurt myself when I weaved in and out of classrooms. And now I can't help myself. And it doesn't matter if it's a little kid or a big one. When I lean over to them and ask them what something means, they can tell me, and they can have an intelligent conversation with me about what they're learning. They had the capacity all along. Okay. Background knowledge. I'm going to speed through this one because I have 3 minutes left, but it's okay. Let me say this, because this was on the panel questions, and I have to answer this. You want kids to have background knowledge, which means what? My heart does well when I see kids with a book in their hand, because what are they getting? Background knowledge. And when they get to that state test that determines what kind of college they get into, if they don't have enough background knowledge because they only read about one thing, they only like volleyball, so they only read about volleyball. When they get to the assessment, they're going to have to read about a variety of things. And so what do you want teachers to do for children? What do you want to do at home as the summer approaches? Give kids access to texts that are historical to read, and scientific, and technical, and across eras. Why eras? Because they need to learn about how automobiles used to be different. Even if they're little, I'm not saying give them a historical text, give them the Constitution and they're in the 4th grade. I'm saying give them a piece of text about how airplanes used to be different. That's historical. Are y'all with me? If they're bigger, then you can give them more complicated texts that are historical. So you want children to have a balance of those types of texts that you see on the screen: historical, scientific, and technical, crossing eras, topics, and perspectives. And on the literary side, you want them to have texts that are written by different authors on different genres. There are 3 genres of literature: plays, poems, and stories. 3 traditions of literature: classical, traditional, and mythological. And you want them to have access to text from different eras and different themes. Y'all, it's on the screen, but I'm not even looking. Do y'all see that? So in order to protect children and prepare them, protect them from lackluster, and then prepare them for a future where they can compete, they need access to these types of texts. Do they at home? When I was a little kid in my grandmother's house, y'all, I had Encyclopedia Britannica. Y'all don't know what that is. Y'all too young. You know what that is? It's some big, thick books with gold embossing. And every now and then I would crack one open and read it. And y'all, my background knowledge is strong because of it. So I'm asking you, what are your children reading to build that background knowledge about a variety of things so that everything's not new to them when they see it? Okay? And then finally, oh, and by the way, I have a set of books that, on my website, if you want to see them. Okay, educationalepiphany.com. All right. And then finally, oral language skills. I'm not going to be that technical, but let me say this about oral language skills. You want, ma'am, right there. See that little kid sitting next to you? Is that yours? Your grandson? Let me have him. I know this is a risk because, they're unpredictable. Hold on. Hey, buddy. What's your name?
Short.
Hey, buddy. What's your name?
Short.
Shard? Okay, it's good to meet you, Shard. Okay. So I got a question for you. You like school? You do? Okay, good. All right. So oral language skills. You want to have a conversation with him just like he's an adult. And when you do, you help him have conversations when he's an adult. Y'all with me? And so that, we is, us was, and all of that, he can't hear that. Because when he hears improper English, he's being placed in a deficit. And there are doors that will close in his face because he's using language that he's supposed to use at home when the door is closed. Are y'all with me? So I know we speak two languages. We do. And you know what that comes from? It comes from our lineage. And it is to be honored and it is to be respected. But you got to be able to switch the code. So I was on a plane recently, and a mom had a baby in a swaddle. Y'all know what a swaddle is? I didn't, okay? It's this little thing, and the child is wrapped up in the thing attached to the parent. I got on the plane, and the mom said to the baby in the swaddle, who was only about 5 months old, look at this very big wing coming from this large airplane. And here's what the baby did. What was that baby doing? Responding to oral language. And then the mom said, look at this really handsome man in this beautiful suit. Isn't he handsome? And this is what the baby did. That baby responded to oral language. Are y'all with me? And so our conversations with our children have to be as mature as we want that language to be later. And don't tell them shut up. Don't tell them don't ask me another question, because you mute them. Thank you, buddy. Give me 5. And then finally, we do all of that. I'm closing. I'm giving you the benediction, and now to him. We do all of that so that kids can comprehend what they have read. We do all of that so kids can answer questions about what they read. So y'all, I need a score out of 12. Give me a score out of 12. Give me a score out of 12. I'll take that 8. That score that you get out of 12, divided by 12. So if you got 9, put in your phone 9 divided by 12. Now multiply that number by 100. That's the percentage that you're satisfied that your child has knowledge-based competencies, and they need knowledge-based competencies in order to be able to be literate. Okay? All right, so I have a lot of resources that I've been working with Dr. Wims and his team to put into place, to put in the hands of your children at school. If you're interested in getting an extra dose of those resources for the home, Dr. Wims and his team can help you to get access to those resources, some of which are represented by the QR code that you see there. And so we're always available to you if you're in this room and you want to reach out to me or reach out to a member of my team. My telephone number is down at the bottom of the screen. All right? Hopefully I didn't bore you too much on a Saturday morning.
Dr. Dickey, on behalf of our superintendent, Dr. Kevin Wims, our assistant superintendent, Ms. Gina Smith, along with our school board of trustee members, and we do thank them for being with us today, along with all of our great educators, our students, our scholars, our community, we would like to thank you. Thank you for your words of inspiration. We want to thank you for the hard work that you have put in here in Williamsburg County School District. And we want to thank you for empowering our teachers, our administrators, along with our scholars to be the best that they can be. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to pivot a little bit this morning. And again, we would like to thank all of you that took time out of your day today to come out with us for this great celebration of literacy. We are going to adjust our agenda just a little bit. So if you'll notice on your agenda, we will not go into the breakout sessions immediately. We're going to give you a 10-minute break to visit our vendors. To go out into the vendor hall. We have restrooms to my right, down the hall to my left. If you need to use the restrooms, we're going to come back into this space at 10:24, exactly. At 10:24, we will come back into this space for our panel discussion. We will have a short panel discussion, and after the panel discussion, we will go out to breakout session 1. So we want everyone to come back into this room after our 10-minute break. We'll come back to this room for the panel discussion, and then we'll go into our breakout sessions, and then we'll have lunch. So we'll shorten our day a little bit today, but we do want to thank you so much for coming out. And to our audience, we want to thank you for joining in on this very, very special celebration of literacy.